A cease and desist letter lands on someone's desk. The response comes back loud, public, and defiant. Go ahead, sue me. I am poor. That is not a line from a movie. That is not a fictional character. That is the actual response of an influencer who was accused of defaming a man connected to the Nolan Wells case. And it reveals something deeply ugly about the economy of viral accusation. Let me walk you through how we got here. Bart Edmiston Jr. is a friend of Nolan Wells. He was part of the group that went to Horn Island on July 4th. His specific role that day, according to what has been reported, was that he towed a distressed boat. A boat was having trouble, Bart towed it. That is what he did. That is his involvement in the events of July 4th as it has been described. But the internet decided that was not enough. The internet decided that Bart Edmiston Jr. was involved in Nolan's death, not based on evidence, not based on charges, not based on any official finding, based on the internet's own investigative instincts, which in this case meant taking a young man who was present that day and turning him into a suspect, a conspirator, and a cover-up artist in the court of public opinion. What happened to Bart as a result of this internet verdict is a case study in what online mob justice looks like in 2026. His home address was posted online. His property records were shared. Information about his family's workplaces was published. He was doxxed completely. His personal information was distributed to strangers on the internet who had decided, without evidence and without authority, that he was guilty of something. And those strangers used that information to threaten him, to harass his family, and to make his life a living hell. Now enter Kymbra Li. She is a New Orleans rapper. She is an OnlyFans model. She is an influencer with a public platform. And according to a cease and desist letter sent by Bart's attorney, she posted videos accusing Bart Edmiston Jr. of helping cause and cover up Nolan Wells' death. Not suggesting, not questioning, accusing directly on video on a public platform. The attorney who sent the cease and desist is Russell Latino. He sent a 5-page letter to Kymbra Li alleging defamation and doxing. 5 pages. That is not a quick note. That is a detailed legal document outlining the specific claims that were made, the specific harm that was caused, and the specific legal consequences that would follow if the conduct did not stop. Now, here's the part that you need to hear. Kymbra Li's response was not to retract her statements. It was not to apologize. It was not to take down the videos. It was not to issue a correction. Her response delivered publicly was this: "Go ahead, sue me. I am poor." She said she has pro bono lawyers lined up. She said she has nothing to lose. She said a lawsuit would only boost her profile. Read that last part again. A lawsuit would only boost her profile. She is not afraid of being sued. She welcomes it. She sees a defamation lawsuit not as a legal threat, but as a content opportunity. She sees being dragged into court as a way to increase her visibility, grow her audience, and strengthen her brand. She has calculated that the attention generated by a legal battle with someone connected to the Nolan Wells case is worth more to her than any judgment that might come out of it. And she may be right, which is the most disturbing part of all. This is the economy of viral accusation in 2026. When an influencer can accuse someone of involvement in a death, face a legal threat, and respond by saying, basically, "I dare you to sue me because it will make me more famous," that is a system that is fundamentally broken. The traditional deterrent against making false accusations is the threat of legal consequences. But if the person making the accusations has nothing to lose and everything to gain from the attention that legal consequences would bring, the deterrent does not work. The mechanism is inverted. The threat of a lawsuit becomes an incentive to keep going. And Kymbra Li is not the only one doing this. She is the most visible example because of her public response. But the pattern is broader. Multiple people in Nolan Wells' orbit have been doxxed, threatened, and accused online. Warren Hudson and his family received thousands of death threats. His mother, Judge Ashley Cole, deactivated her social media accounts because threats were directed at her young children. Bart Edmiston's family was doxxed. Nolan's own mother has been targeted with fake workplace reviews and harassing mail. The case has become a weapon that hits everyone it touches. The internet has decided that it is the investigator, the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury in the Nolan Wells case. And it is handing down sentences, not in a courtroom, but in the form of doxing, threats, harassment, and reputational destruction to anyone it deems suspicious. The standards of evidence are zero. The process is non-existent. The consequences are real. Now, there is a legal question embedded in all of this. When does accusation become defamation? When does public interest become harassment? The First Amendment protects speech, including speech that is critical, questioning, and even accusatory. But defamation law draws a line. You can state opinions, you can raise questions, you can express suspicion. But when you state as a fact that a specific person committed a specific crime, and that statement is false and it causes harm to that person, you have crossed the line from protected speech into defamation. The cease and desist letter to Kymbra Li is testing that line. Russell Latino is arguing that her statements were not opinions or questions. They were factual accusations. She said Bart helped cause Nolan's death. She said Bart helped cover it up. If those statements are false and there is no evidence that they are true because no one has been charged with anything in connection with Nolan's death, then they may constitute defamation. And the doxing, the sharing of his personal information, may constitute a separate legal harm. But here's the problem. Even if Bart Edmiston sues and wins, the damage is already done. His home address is already online. His family's information is already public. The accusations are already out there, viewed by thousands, maybe millions of people. A legal victory months or years from now will not undo the harm that has been done in real time. The internet moves fast, the legal system moves slow, and in the gap between the two, lives are being destroyed. This is the pattern that the Nolan Wells case has revealed. The case goes viral. The internet assigns blame without evidence. People are doxxed, threatened, and harassed. Some of them lawyer up, some of them fight back. But the influencers and content creators who drive the accusations face almost no consequences because they have built their brands on attention, and any legal battle only generates more attention. The incentive structure rewards accusation and punishes the accused, regardless of truth. And here is the ultimate tragedy of this dynamic. While Kymbra Li is daring someone to sue her, while the internet is doxing Bart Edmiston, while Warren Hudson is receiving death threats, while Judge Cole is hiding her children, the actual question is being buried. What happened to Nolan Wells? That question, the only one that matters, is being drowned in noise. The noise of accusations, the noise of cease and desist letters, the noise of influencers building their brands on a dead teenager's case, the noise of a legal system that moves too slowly to protect the innocent, and a social media system that moves too fast to care. A family is grieving, a friend is lawyering up, an influencer is building her brand. And the actual question, what happened to Nolan Wells, is being buried under the noise of people who care more about clicks than justice. The defamation war is not helping anyone find the truth. It is making the truth harder to find because every accusation, every threat, every legal filing, every defiant Instagram post adds another layer of noise on top of a case that is already buried in it. Go ahead, sue me. I am poor. That is the response of someone who has figured out that in the attention economy, there is no penalty for making false accusations. There is only reward. And until that calculation changes, the Bart Edmistons of the world will keep getting doxxed, the Kymbra Lis of the world will keep getting famous, and the Nolan Wells of the world will keep being buried under the noise of people who claim to be seeking justice while doing everything they can to prevent it. Let me lay out what defamation law actually requires, because a lot of people watching this do not understand where the legal lines are. And understanding those lines is important for grasping what is happening in the Nolan Wells case. To win a defamation case, you generally have to prove several things. First, that a specific statement was made about you. Second, that the statement was published or communicated to a third party. Third, that the statement was false. Fourth, that the statement caused you harm. And fifth, that the person making the statement was at least negligent about whether it was true. If the person being defamed is a public figure, the standard is even higher. You have to prove actual malice, meaning the speaker knew it was false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Bart Edmiston Jr. is not a public figure in the traditional sense. He was not famous before this case. He was pulled into the public eye by circumstance. He was on the island that day, he towed a boat, and his name got attached to the case in the public discourse. Whether that makes him a limited purpose public figure for defamation law purposes is a question that lawyers will argue about. But regardless, the fundamental elements of defamation are potentially in play in Kymbra Li's statements about him. If Kymbra Li stated as fact that Bart Edmiston helped cause and cover up Nolan Wells' death, and if those statements are false, and if those statements caused harm, and there is significant evidence of harm, given the doxing, the threats, the reputational damage, then she may have a defamation problem. Whether she is judgment-proof because she claims to be poor does not eliminate the underlying legal exposure. It just changes the practical calculus. That is the calculus she is exploiting. She is saying essentially, even if you can prove I defamed him, you cannot collect from me because I have nothing. And even if you sue me, I benefit from the attention. So the traditional deterrent, the fear of financial consequences, does not apply to me. And in a strange way, she is not wrong about the mechanics. She is wrong about the ethics. She is wrong about the humanity. But she is not wrong about the mechanics of the attention economy. This is where the legal system needs to catch up to the reality of viral accusation. The traditional defamation framework was designed for a world in which making defamatory statements required access to a platform, a newspaper, a television station, a book publisher. In that world, the deterrent was that platforms were reluctant to publish potentially defamatory statements because they could be held liable. Now everyone has a platform. Everyone can accuse anyone of anything in front of millions of people without any editorial gatekeeping. And the deterrent, which used to be the platform's fear of liability, has been replaced by nothing at all. Bart Edmiston's attorney, Russell Latino, is fighting on this new terrain. He sent a cease and desist. That is the traditional first step. Kymbra Li's response, "Go ahead, sue me," is a rejection of that warning. And now Latino has to decide whether to escalate to an actual lawsuit, knowing that the lawsuit itself will generate more attention for Kymbra Li, and knowing that even a favorable judgment may be uncollectible. This is an impossible strategic position. If Latino sues, he creates the content opportunity Kymbra Li is inviting. If he does not sue, the accusations continue with no formal legal response. And other influencers may take note that there are no consequences for making similar accusations. It is a lose-lose from the perspective of protecting Bart Edmiston's reputation in real time. Meanwhile, the doxing continues. Bart Edmiston's home address is out there. His property records are out there. His family's workplace information is out there. Once information is on the internet, it does not go back. The damage of doxing is not primarily a legal harm. It is a security harm. It exposes people to physical danger. And no defamation lawsuit, no cease and desist letter can put that information back in the bottle. The broader pattern this case reveals is that the tools we have for holding people accountable for online harm are not adequate to the scale of the harm being done. Defamation law is slow, expensive, and often uncollectible. Platform moderation is inconsistent. And the people who benefit from viral accusation, the influencers, the creators, the platforms themselves, have every incentive to keep the noise going and no incentive to stop it. Go ahead, sue me, I am poor. That is the war cry of a system that is broken. And Nolan Wells' death has become the latest battlefield on which it is being fought. The family who lost their son cannot even mourn without watching the space around their tragedy be turned into a content marketplace. That is the ugliest fact of all, and it is a fact that no lawsuit, no matter how successful, is going to fix.